Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hagarage Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Animal Kingdom season number 6, episode number 7, which is titled Incognito. And yeah, the name of the episode really went with what happened, especially with how Detective Thompson has been handling Bob. Now, I wasn't expecting her to do all of that, but she is serious about this and she is going to get Bob. She is going to get Bob. As far as she's concerned, and I'm like, you know what, Bob, you need to be careful around her. I did like some of the scenes where I think she could actually feel how dangerous Pope could get, because there were certain scenes where Pope ended up going back to his animalistic type nature, which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, the episode opens up with, I think, Detective Leslie basically moving into a motel in Oceanside. So yeah, she's here, and she won't rest until she gets Pope, and I am here for it. So we cut to the Cody house, and Andrew is making these burritos for the kids at the park. And as he's working on making breakfast for them, or it could be lunch, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think it's lunch. But yeah, it's breakfast. You know what? It doesn't matter. It does not matter, Fareed. Move on. So Joshua comes in, and Joshua is like, hey, about my idea about moving money through the skate park. And Andrew is like, hey, I told you, no, I'm not going to ask people to pay to come to the park and skate. And Joshua's like, no, they don't have to pay anything. We'll still be able to move money through it. And as Joshua is again telling Andrew about his plan, Andrew gets a call. It's Amy, and Andrew talks to Amy, and Amy wants to meet up. It's basically a date. It's not a date, but it's kind of a date. And Andrew's very excited, and Joshua is listening to the conversation from the kitchen. And then Andrew comes in, and he's kind of in a happy mood about it. And this is where Andrew's like, hey Joshua, about your plan to move money through the park, let's do this. Also, I have to mention that Finn Cole's face in this particular image, I'm like, you know what, someone needs to put Finn Cole in drag. I think he'll be able to kill it. Just my opinion. So yeah, he's very happy that Andrew wants to move money through the skate park, and Andrew's like, yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit later. So we see Julia. Let me, yes, okay, yeah. I'm just going to move the camera a bit. So we have a scene in the flashback where Julia is sneaking out from her room to go into Baz's room, and they're hooking up, and yeah, Smurf is just sleeping, but Smurf knows. I think that Smurf knows. So we cut to Deran and Tommy, and Deran is helping, Tommy is helping Deran carry these giant kegs around. And because Deran had a fight with Craig in the previous episode, of course, he's still injured, and this is where Tommy asks Deran whom he got into a fight with, and Deran is like, hey, it's Craig. I got into a fight with Craig. And then Tommy tells Deran, you know what, you guys don't have a big age gap, right? And you still got beat. And Darren's like, hey, that's how it is. So Craig has been hooking up with the girl who works for him in the gym, and after they end up hooking up, this is where the woman asks Craig about his kid. She just found out that he has a kid, and she's like, okay, so is it a boy or a girl? And Craig is like, it's a boy. And then she asks how old the child is, and Craig is like, hey, he's just a baby. Why are you even asking? Why would you insinuate that he should be old, that my kid should be old? And the woman is like, hey, I'm just asking, okay? I'm just asking. So we have this entire scene where Ren is having fun with Nick because they visited the park, and it's time for them to go home. And after Ren puts Nick in the back of the car, she gets attacked by this guy named Cole. I think he's like a rival drug supplier. And I was like, oh, this is bad. This guy basically signed his death warrant, because of course Ren is going to get Craig involved. And because the issue involves Nick, Craig isn't going to show any mercy. And that's exactly what happens. And I really liked how the actress playing Ren, she acted during this entire scene, because as Cole is driving away, she basically latches onto the car because she wants her child back, and then she falls, and she's quite injured. So of course Craig knows, and because Andrew isn't picking up the phone, and because Craig isn't going to get Joshua involved, he goes to the bar, he goes to Deran, and Deran's like, hey, what happened? Cool down. And then Craig tells Deran about Nick being kidnapped and Ren being injured, and that he needs his help, and Deran's like, of course I'm going to help. Now, even though Deran hasn't necessarily shown a lot of interest in Nick's life, he is going to help his own brother save his nephew. That's the kind of character that Deran is. So Deran is like, hey, let's go, let's do this. We cut to the park, and the kids are eating their burritos, and Andrew is happy, and Augie notices it, and Augie is like, hey, why are you so happy today? And Andrew's like, well, it's this woman I've been seeing. She wants to see me again. It's basically a date. And Augie is like, hey, you do know about the restaurant that she picked, right? And Andrew's like, what do you mean? And then Augie goes into how the restaurant that Amy picked, it should have a secluded area where they can talk. The music shouldn't be loud. The place should also be a bit dark to give it a more romantic vibe. And Andrew's like, I don't know anything about it. And Augie's like, then go find out. It could be a game changer. So we cut to Joshua, and Joshua goes to Penny's house because he still wants to hook up with Penny, even though her husband is back. And as these two are talking, this is where we get introduced to a new character. I think her name is Grace or something, and she ends up being Penny's sister. And yeah, she's an addict too, so I guess that's something that Penny and Joshua have in common. And she notices Penny basically flirting with Joshua, and I think that this isn't the first time that Penny has flirted with another guy, even though she's married. And this is where Joshua is like, hey, forget about your sister, forget about your brother, not brother, my bad, forget about your husband. Forget about your husband. I just want to give you a good time today. So let's go right now. And Penny's like, okay, I guess we'll go. And yeah, she accepts, and I'm like, you know what? The writers are focusing way too much on Joshua's and Penny's relationship. We're also getting a focus on Amy and Andrew's relationship. We're also getting a focus on Craig and Ren's relationship. And I'm like, Deran, my queer, sad man, like he's all alone. He's all alone right now, and I'm like, give him a romantic plot too, writers. Come on, it's the final season. So we go back to a flashback, and Smurf and Baz are scoping out a place. I guess they're going to steal a truck from there, and the truck has these like fiber optics or something. I'm not really sure what it's about. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's fiber optics. Maybe it's electronics. I don't know. But it's something, I think it's something expensive or something. But yeah, Smurf, of course, she notices Baz rubbing his eyes because he hasn't been getting a lot of sleep because he's been hooking up with Julia. And yeah, Smurf isn't happy about it. And she's like, Baz, if you want me to give you more responsibility, I want you to put your head in the game. You already didn't show up for the previous job, and I don't want you messing this up because I want you to lead this job. And Baz is like, wait, you want me to lead this job? And she's like, yep, I need you to do that. Can you do that for me? And Baz is like, yeah, I can do it. So we got to Andrew. Give me a second. I need to address this. Wait. I'm still here. Okay, I'm back. So Andrew goes to the restaurant, and he talks to the waiter there, and he's like, hey, do you guys have a place where the music isn't loud, where it's a bit secluded, so I can have a bit of a romantic vibe with my basically, with the woman that I'm meeting for that I'm going to eat dinner with. And the guy is like, hey, you know what? I'll try. I do have this one particular table that's away from the bar, but no promises. I'll see what I can do. So as Andrew is walking out of the restaurant, this is where Detective Thompson comes in, and she's like, hey, wait. And I'm like, really? You're going to do this? You're really going to do this? You're going to portray a fake character in front of Andrew? Really? This is risky. This is very, very risky, Detective Thompson. But hey, I guess she's serious about it. So she ends up faking her entire identity, and basically she's playing Taylor's mom, and she's like, I can't find Taylor for a bunch of days now, and I want your help. And Andrew's like, Andrew's a bit conflicted. He's not really sure if he should help her or not, because he has this dinner with Amy to look forward to, but he succumbs to it, and he's like, okay, I'll help you. So he drives her to the usual places. And while that's happening, while Andrew goes in to talk to the guys that hung out with Taylor, Detective Thompson gets a chance, and she ends up searching around Andrew's car. She goes through his dashboard contents, and then she finds a gun in his car, which she takes a picture of the gun while she's wearing gloves. And I'm like, good for you, wearing those gloves. And Andrew comes back, and she's able to go back into her fake identity, and she's like, okay, so he's not here. Can we go somewhere else? Because I really want your help to find my son. And as these two are talking, this is where Andrew gets a call from Amy, and I guess Amy is getting cold feet. Amy is like, yeah, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can have dinner with you tonight. And Andrew tries to, he kind of pleads with Amy. He's like, hey, we can do it later. We can do it earlier. Whatever you want to do. And Amy isn't having it because Amy doesn't want to have dinner with Andrew. She has a change of heart now. And yeah, but then she ends up over here. But then Andrew tells her that, yeah, he's out there helping this woman find her kid. And that kind of talks to Amy's emotions. And she's like, you know what? Forget what I said. Let's have dinner. Let's have dinner tonight. And Andrew is like, you know what? I need to get ready for dinner. I don't have a lot of happy days, and you're ruining it for me. And he basically is like, you know what, lady? I can't help you no more finding your son. So I'm going to drive you off back there, okay? Okay. And I'm like, you know what, Detective Thompson? You need to listen to Andrew before he gets angry. So we have the scene where a young Andrew has finished taking a bath, and yeah, Smurf basically just walks into the bathroom, hands a naked Andrew a towel, and then this is where she ends up talking to Andrew about how Julia and Baz are spending way too much time together, and she feels that Andrew is being left out, and Andrew's like, no, that's not true, they give me attention. And Janine is like, okay, I'm happy to hear that, my handsome boy. And I'm like, yep, she just needed to sow a seed of doubt in Andrew's mind. So I think that that's going to work out. That's going to come into play later on as the season progresses. Because Andrew is going to figure out, right? He is going to figure out that Julia has been hooking up with Baz right under his nose. So Craig goes to meet up with Ren, and she's all injured, and Ren apologizes, and Ren tells Craig that, yeah, she got attacked by a rival drug supplier, and Craig is like, really, Ren, really? And Deran is there as well, and Deran is like, hey, Craig, this isn't the time, okay? We need to get Nick back. So Ren's cousins, I think they're her cousins, right? So Ren's cousins know who Cole is, that guy. He's basically like a neo-Nazi supremacist or something. So Deran and Craig was like, yeah, let's go. And they don't necessarily know where he lives, but they do know a person that works with Cole. So they're like, you know what, we get that person, and then we'll be able to get to Cole. So Penny and Joshua, they're again, Finn Cole. Someone needs to put Finn Cole in drag. Like, just look at this face. Okay, so they're at this place where they are able to throw tomahawks at targets, and Penny is quite good at it. And this is where these two talk about the people in their lives who are into substance abuse, who were addicted, and Joshua tells Penny about his mom, but he's like, you know what, my mom didn't survive. And yeah, again, I guess that the writers basically gave Penny an addicted sister to have her share something in common with Joshua, and I'm like, I really don't care about the relationship. Like, I like the actress who's playing Penny, but I'm like, you know what, this is the final season. This is not the time to be doing all of this. But this is where Penny, after listening to Joshua, she's like, you know what, I'm done throwing these axes, so can we go out and eat something? And Joshua's like, yeah, let's go. So we cut to Baz, and Baz is basically telling Julia, Smurf, and Andrew his plan. Basically, the truck driver goes into the warehouse for 3 minutes, and that's enough time to steal a truck. And they need Andrew and they need Julia to pull this off. And Smurf is very impressed by Baz because he worked out all of the kinks. And Julia's like, hey, I need to go and pick something. And Baz, can you come with me? Because she takes Baz's car's keys. And yeah, Baz ignores Julia, especially in front of Smurf, because he wants to show Smurf that he's serious about it. And as Julia is walking, because she is annoyed by Baz ignoring her, this is where Smurf tells Julia, like, bye, Julia. So Craig and Deran, they find the guy who works for Cole, and they're like, you know what, we're going to kidnap you and you're going to lead us to him. And the guy is like, okay, I guess I don't have a choice. Again, let me fix the camera. Let's see. I guess this works, right? Or maybe a bit. Or maybe if I zoom out a bit. Yeah. Okay. This works, right? Okay. So anyway, they kidnapped this guy. And then we cut to Joshua and Penny. So it turns out that Joshua basically took Penny to a restaurant, a new restaurant, which was 24/7, right? It was 24/7, which they ended up calling the restaurant 4814, which makes no sense. But anyway, this is where Penny is like she tells Joshua that she doesn't have a lot of time to have fun because when her husband's around, and then she's someone who likes to eat a lot and whatnot. And then she also asks Joshua about this place, and she's like, "Why do people love you over here?" And Joshua tells Penny that his family has a stake in this place. And then he notices one of the owners walk by, and he's like, "Hey, I just need to go and talk to the owner of the restaurant and say thanks to him." And Joshua goes into the kitchen, and the owner tries to basically disrespect Joshua in a sense. And Joshua isn't having it. And Joshua basically punches the owner right in the face, breaks his nose, and he's like, hey, don't you play with me, okay? And you guys basically work for us, and I need you to be more serious about your work. And the guy is like, yeah, I understand. And I'm like, Joshua, really? Again, Joshua is a very, very violent guy. So he goes back out, and Penny notices the blood on Joshua's sleeve, and Joshua is like, "Hey, it's nothing. It's just some sauce that fell on me in the kitchen." And Penny is like, yeah, sure." So the guy takes Craig and Deran to Coles' building, and it's basically like a 3 or 4 story tall building. And the guy tells Craig that there aren't a lot of people in there. There's basically a meth lab in there, so you guys can go and get to Cole, I guess. And Brent's cousins want to go with them, but Craig and Deran are like, no, you guys stay here, and we'll go in. And they do go in, and yeah, it's quite an action heavy sequence where they end up knocking out the Met guy, and after he tells them where the baby is, and as they're making, okay, I don't think you guys, you know what, today is something. I'm going to try and change the lighting. Okay, so I think that this is kind of better. I'm not really sure what's happening to my camera today. But yeah, they end up knocking out the Met guy after he tells them where Nick is, and after making way to that particular room, Deran ends up being attacked by another guy, and Deran shoots the guy, so I guess that guy is dead. And then Craig walks into the room, and but before all of that can happen, we cut to Andrew and Amy. They're at dinner. They hug each other. It's an awkward hug. And yeah, now they're ready to talk. And Amy notices that this area is away from the bar, so that they can actually talk to each other and listen to and have a conversation. So yeah, Craig goes into the room. Cole notices him. Cole aims a gun at Craig. Craig has a shotgun aimed at Cole. Deran comes from behind, and Craig is like, "Hey, Deran, don't shoot. And Deran basically puts his own life on the line to save his brother and Nick. And I'm like, wow, Deran. Wow. And Cole turns around and he actually shoots Deran right in the chest. And I'm like, you know what, Deran, you're lucky that Cole didn't shoot you in the head, okay? He could have done that. So with Cole distracted, Craig knocks Cole down. He gets on top of Cole and he's like, "Deran, take Nick and get out of here." Deran does that, and Cole looks at Craig and he's like, this isn't over. But yeah, it's over. And also you have the scene where Deran's concerned, where Craig is concerned about Deran. He's like, "Deran, are you okay? Did you get shot? Any bleeding?" But yeah, Deran is okay. So he takes Nick out. Craig gets on top of Cole, and he basically shoots Cole right there because again, Craig isn't playing around when it comes to his kid. So yeah, Cole's dead. And then we cut to Amy, and basically Amy wanted to apologize to Andrew because she's like, "You know what? I judged you. It wasn't my place to judge you, and I'm sorry, Andrew. I'm sorry. I need you to give ourselves another chance, even if it's just as friends." And of course, Andrew is happy to hear that. And then we cut to Craig and Deran, and Craig ended up taking Nick to Ren's house, and Craig is like, "Hey, I'm going to stay here, right? Okay, I'm going to stay with Ren or something." And Deran is like, "Hey, you can take my car if you don't. I just want to go." Or maybe Craig tells Deran that he'll take Ren to his own place, because that's exactly what happens in this episode. But yeah, Deran is like, "You know what? Whatever. You can take my car. I can just walk." And I felt so sorry for Deran at this point, because he ended up helping his brother save Nick. And again, Deran basically has no one in his life to love him and support him like that. And I'm like, oh Deran, like, he needs Adrian needs to come back somehow, or maybe Deran needs to go to Adrian. So we got to the Cody house, and Joshua ended up taking Penny to his house. And Penny is like, "Hey, Joshua, so are you going to finally tell me what your family is actually involved in?" And Joshua is like, "Do you really want to know?" And Penny is like, "Do I want to know? I don't know." And I guess Joshua is going to tell Penny some things, and I'm like, Joshua, don't do that, because he actually warned Andrew about it, and he wasn't happy. Yeah, he actually warned Andrew about it, but let's see if he ends up spilling the beans to Penny. Let's see. So as Andrew and Amy are coming out to the restaurant after having their dinner, this is where Detective Thompson comes in back again, and she's like, I'm so sorry, I ruined your dinner, but I followed Andrew, and it's just that I'm still searching for my son." And Amy's like, yeah, Andrew mentioned that, and then Amy tells Andrew that, "You know what, go help this woman. We'll talk later." And Andrew is not happy about it. He is not happy about it. And as Amy is driving away, Detective Thompson notices her number plate, and I'm like, there's something. I think that she's going to track Amy down somehow, because we did get this little scene where Amy's car is reversing. She's reversing her car, and we get a shot of her number plate, and then we get a shot of Detective Thompson. So yeah, something's going to happen there, as far as I can tell. So she's like, I lost my mobile phone, but I lost my cell phone, but I was able to track it, and somehow it ended up in your car. So can I search your car?" And Andrew, he's not happy about it. He's like, "You know what? Go search it." And she ends up finding the cell phone. She thanks Andrew for everything. And Andrew, yeah, again, the animalistic side that Andrew has, the way he looks at Detective Thompson, he is angry. He is clearly angry at her. So we got to Smurf, and she's washing the sheets, and this is where I think this is where Julia tells Smurf that this is basically Baz's sheets and whatnot. And yeah, again, Smurf tells Julia that she's just happy that they're going to work this new job as a family. That Julia's going to work the job with her brothers. And Julia's like, "Why do you call him that? Why do you call Baz our brother? He's not our brother. We are not biologically related or anything." And Smurf was like, "Yeah, I get your point, but he has been with us for years now. He's basically part of our family." So the entire thing is just Smurf trying to get under Julia's skin. And then Andrew comes back home. Joshua's there as well, and this is where Andrew notices one of the breakfast cereals box not arranged properly. And I was waiting for this. I think it was in the previous episode, right, where Detective Thompson ended up putting the box back wrongly, and I was like, you know what, that has to come into play somehow, and it finally did. And Andrew is like, "Joshua, did you put the box like that in there?" And Joshua was like, "No, I didn't. I'm sure." So yeah, Andrew knows. So Andrew had his suspicions, but I think that now he really knows that someone was in the house, and there's something up. And then the episode ends with Craig taking Ren to his house, and Ren is like, "Oh, you kept the crib. And Craig is like, "Of course I did." They put Nick to sleep, and this is where Craig just sits down on the sofa. He breaks down, he's crying, he's an emotional mess, especially after what he just went through. And Ren's there to support him, and the episode ends, and I'm like, yep, again. Darren needs to have a love interest in his life as well, like this. Come on, writers. We only have 6 more episodes left. What do you have planned for Darren? Now, considering that Darren put his life on the line to protect Nick, I really hope that that's not some sort of foreshadowing about what might happen to Darren, that he might end up sacrificing his own life to protect his brother or something. I don't want that happening. I really don't. But yeah, I will be doing a written review of this for the Geekiary. The link to my review will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Do you think that Andrew is going to figure out that Detective Thompson is after him? Or would Detective Thompson be able to take Andrew down before he can do anything about it? Let me know. And until next time, stay happy. And also, do you trust Penny? Do you really trust Penny? Especially after she asks Joshua what his family was up to? Again, let me know. But yeah, anyway, until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.